Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Grandma Ray Don't Play. I'm Rachel. So I would like to talk to you about George Floyd and the way he died. Okay? So we know that in the last 6 days or so there's been non-stop protests state to state in different states on the illegal mistreatment of George Floyd by the police. And it's not just about George Floyd, it's about past history, and the police have been definitely illegally beaten and abusing blacks for century after century after century in the past and current. Rather than just doing their job and if you're going to arrest someone, you go ahead and arrest them. You don't have to physically beat them or hurt them or kill them just because you are the police. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little history. My father, who just turned 90, he told me a story that when he was younger, him and his brother was in the car together, and the car went off the cliff in West Virginia, and they were so afraid of the police until him and his brother lifted the car up out the ditch. And ever since then he has a back problem because of that. I said, well, why did you do that? He said because he was so afraid of the police and what they would do to them if the police came along and seen the car in the ditch. So here we go. Now remember, he's 90. Here we go. We're in 2020 and the fear of the police is still going strong. So just imagine this. The police held his knee on George's neck for 8 minutes 46 seconds. 8 minutes 46 seconds. And so when I first seen the police with his knee on George's neck, the first thing I thought about is, I remember the football players would kneel down and show support of Black Lives Matter by kneeling down at the games. And that's what I think that this police was kind of copying. He was copying the football players when they took a knee down saying Black Lives Matter. So he put his knee down, I guess, to say Black Lives don't matter. And George was there saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. How do you hear somebody constantly saying that and you still got your knee down on their neck, cutting the wind off, cutting the breathing off, right? So this in itself is outrageous. And yes, this created the riots and the protests and the marches because people are sick of it, sick of it, sick of it. Now I don't uphold people breaking in stores, stealing, robbing, shooting, stabbings, setting fires. I don't condone none of that. I think all of that is wrong. Just like the police knee was on George's neck, that's wrong also. But I am okay with the protests because at some point in time, people really just get tired of hoping and praying that change come and change never come, right? Okay, I have some notes here. The 3 other police that was with the police officer that had his knee on George's neck, they just stood there and did nothing. They didn't radio for help. They didn't push the guy off. They didn't say stop. They didn't do anything but allow the killing and abuse to continue. Just allowed it. How do you go home at night and look at your loved ones and know that you basically assisted in a murder when, because you didn't do anything. You didn't do what your job called for you to do, to protect. They didn't protect him. No, they did not. They went with their buddy. Okay, and I'm sure when they got to the police station, a whole bunch of lies got written down on a paper. I'm pretty sure of that, because, you know, they got to cover their little butts, right? Okay. I want to talk about why the police officers felt they could physically harm or possibly murder George. You know, when you get in a fight with someone, I always told my kids, you know, think twice before you really physically fight somebody, because you don't know when you're fighting someone, at the end of that fight, are they going to be okay? Are they going to be really hurt? Are they going to still be breathing? Are they anything? You just don't know, because when people get to that point, there's no stopping, and usually a fight don't stop until someone is really, really hurt, okay, or in this case, murdered, basically. So you need to think twice. So there was no fight with the police, because when I seen the video, they had the cuffs on George with his hands in the cuffs. So there was no fight. So why was there a need to continuously do this type of abuse? It is uncalled for, and I don't want to have this platform and I not come on here and speak out about the wrongs, you know, because I feel like this. I have a listening audience, and my audience may also have something to say about this. And I invite you to put your comments down. Let your comments be heard. You know, there's over 13,000 subscribers on here. And, you know, everybody can read and hear what you have to say also. Don't you be silent. This is your time to speak out as well. Let your comments be heard. Put it on this channel, please. Okay? Was this done to George because of his race? Because he was a black man? Yes. I believe it was done to him because he was a black man. And the reason why I'm saying this is history have shown us that police officers have treated black men and some women in this manner, physically treating them wrong, physically beating them, physically hurting them. This has been going on for centuries. So yes, it was because George was black. You know, if he was white, would he have gotten that same treatment? Or the millions others before George, if they were white, or if they were Indian or some other race, would they have gotten that same treatment? You know, we got to learn to love each other. We are all the same. All the same. We all hurt just alike. I don't care what race you are. We all hurt just alike. We all bleed just alike. And so we need to treat each other the same, because, you know, one day we got to go away from here and meet our Maker. And is he going to be pleased with us if we treat each other differently? No. We're all God's children, and we need to all learn to love and get along. And if you can't get along with someone, fine, but you don't mistreat them. Just take a walk away, okay? Or if you're doing your job, do your job without abusing people. I'm talking straight to the police, And I want to say that, you know, George's family must be just really broken up. I mean, really broken up. On one hand, I guess they can look and see the protests and everything, so they know that people are standing up for George and everything. But on the other hand, you know, the flashback of seeing that officer knee on George's neck until he couldn't breathe no more is just awful. Awful. Okay. So, was the mistreatment over the $20? Was it because he was black? Was it because the police officer is a bad cop? You know, or was it because the police officer knew he could get away with this stuff? What exactly was the reason behind the mistreatment, the killing, the murder, Okay. Also, you know, let's talk about George. He has a child. I believe she's a little girl. You know, what is she gonna think when she see a police officer? What message does that send that little girl? Okay, or any child? What message does that send? That lets them know that they should fear the police, the one who protects us. You know, I myself, I understand the hard job a police officer have. But you know what? When we all need someone to protect us, when we all need someone to look into something, that's who we call. We call the police. And we expect the police to protect us, look out for our best interests, and if it's someone that wronged you, we want the police officers to go get the bad guy. But what we don't want is to think that, you know, the police officer is coming to harm us. We don't want that, okay? So anybody that's a police officer out there, if you've ever wronged somebody, I hope you ask God for forgiveness. And I hope that you learn from this mistake, from this police officer, that that people are not taking that anymore, and they're gonna stand up against this here, and they're gonna try to get justice. Because if we don't try to get justice in 2020, when are we going to get justice over this endless nonsense? Absolutely harmful crimes. They are absolute crimes. And I understand that they have the police officer that put his knee on George's neck in custody, and they put a warrant out for all four. So I hope that they have all four by now, and don't feel sorry for them, because they were okay with this act going on. And you know, let them go to court and face whatever that they're faced with, because at some point in time we have to change. You know, Martin Luther King marched so that we would all love one another, that we would all live on this nation together. He gave his life up for a change, okay? And here we are, 2020, and the change hasn't came. This is a long time, you know? And we need change now. We need change now, okay? Okay, so I wanted to at least put my 2 cents in it and let you know that I am not for the riots, but I am for the gatherings and the protests, and I think that that's no more than right. And I wanted to be able to give you a chance to put your voice out there. So you may not can go out and march. You may not want to go out and march, but what you can do is you can speak out right here and let it be known. And to all the people in the YouTube family who are not just the subscribers, anybody that go on YouTube can see your comment, and they'll know what you stand for and what you feel about the situation. So please comment on here and let me know, let everybody else know what you feel about it, and pray for George's family. Prayer is needed, I mean, like never before now, okay? And we hope that justice will prevail. And I hope that this not only sets an example for those 4 police officers who murdered George, But for all other police officers who have wrongly harmed other black people, and anybody, not just blacks, anybody, I hope that the police departments or the government look back into those records and see if they can find where they did their wrongs and bring them to justice too. Just bring them all to justice, and then that'll send the message that if you do that, this is what's going to happen to you. You're going to go to jail and suffer the consequences just like any other criminal, because you're doing a criminal act. Okay? All right. This is Grandma Ray Don't Play. Thank you for hanging around. And stay tuned for part 2 when I get into what makes this protest different than the protest or riot. What makes this one different? Oh, I got the answer. I got the answer. And please come back and hear that. Okay? All right. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. Share this video. This is one that you should have this video shared to everybody you know, because we all need to send our message and hear the message so that we understand when stuff like this happen that we're not standing for it anymore. Pull your cameras out, take the picture, talk to your kids. We all need to know that. Okay? And subscribe if this is your first time on my channel, and check out my links below. I have a GoFundMe and a Patreon, and maybe you would like to support this channel in any way as I support you. And I love you, love you, love you, and I'm praying that nothing happens to you. Okay? All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.